Sometimes the most human, the most profound moments are captured in just a handful of raw, unfiltered words. And today, we're going to dive deep into one of those moments. We're looking at a piece of text that went viral, but we're not focusing on the people involved. Nope. We're here to understand the universal language of heartbreak that it lays bare.
Just take a second and let this sink in. Notice anything? There's no punctuation, no capital letters. It's just this pure stream of consciousness, a completely raw signal being broadcast in a moment of absolute crisis. This is what we're going to break down today.
So this actually comes from a YouTube video. It's a direct transcript. But for our purposes, we're going to treat it almost like a piece of found poetry or an archaeological find. We're going to see what it tells us about how we communicate when we're at our absolute lowest point. All right, so let's start at the beginning with the anatomy of a plea. Because the text doesn't open with anger or confusion or anything like that. It opens with bargaining, that desperate first instinct attempt to stop reality in its tracks. And it starts right here. I'm sorry. Don't leave me. This is like a classic 1-2 punch of desperation, isn't it? First, the apology. I'm sorry. It's this immediate reflex to take the blame, whether it's deserved or not, just to stop the conflict. And it's followed immediately by a command that comes from pure fear. Don't leave me. So simple, so direct, and just utterly heartbreaking. Then, right after that negative command, don't leave, the language makes a really interesting shift. It becomes a positive expression of desire. I want you here with me. Now, this might seem subtle, but it's a huge change. The speaker is moving from trying to prevent a negative thing from happening to trying to will a positive thing into existence. It's an attempt to reframe the whole situation. But just as that glimmer of hope appears, there's a huge pivot. That hope, that plea, it just smashes head-on into a devastating realization. And this is the turning point of the entire moment. And here you can see it, side by side. The two warring thoughts laid bare. On one hand, you've got the hope, I want you here with me. And on the other, the crushing reality, I know that your love is gone. This is the exact moment the speaker's brain acknowledges the truth, even while their heart is desperately fighting it. The battle is now completely internal. And when that internal conflict becomes too much, it turns physical. That single letter H, it feels like you can actually hear the gasp, the stutter, right before the words, I can't breathe. This isn't a metaphor. This is a real physical sensation triggered by overwhelming emotional pain. And then look what happens next. The brain kind of resets. It spirals back to, I'm sorry, and then it tries to undo the horrible truth it just admitted. Shifting from I know to a plea, don't tell me that your love is gone. It's this heartbreaking attempt to silence the reality. Now, this experience actually has a clinical name. It's called psychogenic dyspnea. It's basically what happens when your brain gets so overloaded by emotional pain or anxiety that it sends out signals that create a very real, very terrifying feeling of suffocation. Your mind is so overwhelmed, your body literally starts to react. So let's pull all of these pieces together. What we've just done, word by word, is watch a complete and incredibly fast emotional arc play out in real time. It moves from bargaining, just trying to stop the loss, to acknowledgement, where that awful truth sinks in, and that leads directly to despair, where the pain becomes physical. And finally, as we saw, it ends in repetition, which is the mind's way of trying to process something unbearable. That brings us to the very end. Hearing that your love is gone, that's not a transcription error. That's the sound of a brain stuck in a loop, trying to make sense of an idea that it just cannot bear. It's like the mind is saying the words over and over, almost hoping that one of these times it'll finally click, it'll feel real, and the agonizing process of acceptance can finally maybe begin. And all of this, it leaves us with one final, pretty big thought. When everything else is stripped away, our composure, our eloquence, our pride, is this what we all sound like? Is this simple, broken, brutally honest sequence of words, is this the fundamental language of human heartbreak? It's something to think about.